guys, Dr. Nene here. I practice as a cardiothoracic, vascular, and general surgeon, and I'm now a health tech innovator who wants to improve lifespans and lifestyles. So stay healthy, stay curious, and keep watching.
Thank you very much for such a warm welcome. So anyway, I want to welcome everyone tonight, and all of you are probably asking yourself, what is a cardiovascular surgeon with 30 years experience being on stage at a amazing food fest with the world's classiest Michelin star chefs? And the answer is simple. Food is love. It's what your mother gave you, but in the wrong proportions, it can also cause health issues. And what I want to unravel with these guys up here is how can we innovate and make food something which changes how you live and bring it together. And so the questions we'll be asking to them and maybe to you guys is, how does food part of your mantra, but at the same time, how does it interact? And some of the techniques which are used to cook, as well as some of the ingredients will change. These guys in their own right are rock stars. And you know, I'm a little bit of a cook. You can see my recipes online, but I learn so much every single day from their videos, more than the reverse. I can teach them a little bit about heart surgery because I've seen the inside of arteries after you've eaten too much. And so I can tell you that somewhere in the middle, we can come together. So let me just start. You've done some phenomenal work. How do you think techniques have changed in terms of how you cook and how you present things for your audiences? And do you see a change in how they respond? Are they coming after healthy cooking, or is it always a binge and purge cycle?
As an Indian chef, the first thing that comes to mind me when we talk about health is the fact medicine, and can be medicine. India being the land, after all, that invented yoga and Ayurveda, food was always about wellness and well-being. And if we look back only about 60 years ago, our grandparents ate seasonally, they ate locally, they ate healthy, and lived long lives. Couldn't agree more that this deep connect between food and health is something we have ignored the last few decades. But it's turning full circle again. We are much more aware of the impact of our food choices. The way we grow our food, the way we consume food is gradually changing for the better, and that is really nice to see.
That's perfect. Now, I wanted to ask you guys, I'm going to turn to any one of you. Fresh is best, as they say, and seasonal vegetables. I'm going to put this out to the bunker. Seasonal vegetables and kind of farm-to-table ethics. What is your take on that in terms of the fruits and vegetables and other things coming in? Do you guys design menus around that? And is that something you're seeing more of?
Thank you for the question, Dr. Nene. And I grew up in small town India in Allahabad. And even when I go back home today, there is a cart puller that comes outside my house. My mom goes out at 7:30 in the morning. He has some tomatoes, some carrots, some cauliflower, some other kind of vegetables. What we get on that cart is what is eaten at home. And it's not that she asked me to drive 20 kilometers to go somewhere and pick up a vegetable to cook for lunch. And that's a philosophy that we have followed at the restaurant at Hauma, leading to the success that we've gotten by making the local produce a star. And I think as a chef cooking fine dining, it is a very strong responsibility that comes onto our shoulders to work with nature, not work against nature. If I'm looking to make a gajar ka halwa in July, I'm not going to get carrots that are grown naturally.
Yeah,
They're probably
beautiful.
grown inside a silicon bag.
Yeah, and also the way they ripen it as well, right?
Of course, I think the reason why the world has gone genetically modified is the desire of us to eat things out of season.
100%.
And that's why they have been modified to be grown not for nutritionist requirements, but suddenly everybody wants to make their nihari with Wagyu beef. So, the day we step back and we see that true value lies in true food, and true food comes from your neighborhood, is we're going to be back on track of our health, of our longevity, and also of taste.
Thank you so much. That was great. Jitin, I'm going to pose a question to you. You've got a lemon butter cafe. Now, lemon and butter are something no one will say no to. But what do you see as a heart surgeon? Cholesterol was an issue. I don't think it is. I think sugar is the enemy. But how do you contend with that? And is there a focus on this, or are people still stuck to their staples as far as customers go? And then from a chef's standpoint, how are you changing your approach to deal with not only people coming in now with more heart disease, diabetes and whatnot, but also with other issues, food allergies and things like that? Is this something you see in your restaurant, and how do you adapt?
Yeah, thanks, doctor. Thanks for directing the question to me. First of all, I think cholesterol and diabetes, they are such synonymous things that doesn't raise an eyebrow anymore. People have kind of chosen to live with it, and it's like a perennial. It's not even a disorder anymore. It's definitely not a disease, but it's not a disorder anymore. And I feel that whatever the food and nutrition's values that you get from the diet, that has to be complemented with exercise and what your daily routine is. Sometimes we neglect that part of the way of living and lifestyle has changed so much. And coming down to allergies, especially in the West, every other table has an allergy. Gluten allergy, nut allergy, crustaceans, tomatoes, you name it, it's getting worse and worse. Thankfully in India and Southeast Asia, I see the allergens have not created a havoc yet. And I think it's because of the diet from a childhood. You've been exposed to those elements, if you will, and your natural immunities have been made you to kind of be able to ingest and digest them without any allergic reactions. But the West is pretty. It is alarming the way the kids these days are eating. And as a chef, the way I counter is that use things that are not genetically modified, as Dipankar said, local and seasonal produce as best we can. Try to curb your urge to eat everything every time of the year, as he rightly put as well. And using of, for example, E-numbers. You pick up a packet, all you have to do is, you don't have to be a doctor or a scientist. All you have to do is read up those numbers, and if it doesn't make sense, there's bloody something wrong. Either you read up on it, or you pick up another packet which doesn't have those E-numbers. As simple as that. It's not rocket science. And you go out for a run, it's the most basic thing you can do is run. That's what I pursue in my life, and that's what I advocate to everybody else around me.
So I think these are great points. I would concur with you. I would say 80% of your health will be diet, 20% will be exercise, but there's even more than that. And we've talked about all of these things. I think now there's another topic: social media, food, and health. Everyone's gramming their food, right? They're making it much more appealing and whatnot. What do you see? What is it forcing you to do? And how are you dealing with that in terms of healthcare trends versus how people are looking at things? I'll leave it to any one of you.
For myself?
Yeah, any one of you.
So I'm happy to take that, Dr. Nene. It's thank you for addressing this. It is an absolute fact. In fact, after my 14 years at Tamarind, I set up Shivali in Twickenham at the end of the pandemic. As a post-pandemic restaurant, we wanted the focus to be on community, on health, and the things that really matter. And as an Indian chef, I wanted my cooking to reflect my learnings from the pandemic. And if I had to take two words out of that entire experience, I think people became more aware of the importance of health and happiness. And through food and through Shivali, we re-engineered every single recipe on our menu. As a post-pandemic restaurant, we wanted different sensibilities. We worked a lot with the local community, bought a lot of our ingredients from local suppliers, looked at each recipe to find how we could make it healthier without affecting flavor. I think chefs are food ambassadors, but also have a platform to share this incredible love of food but at the same time also a responsibility to educate. And I think our consumers today are much more aware of the impacts of their food choices. They associate with brands that have a good philosophy towards CSR or carbon footprint or environment. We have looked at food manufacturing over many years in terms of regenerative farming and protecting our resources, using less water, making sure we do not deplete soil nutrients, rather make sure farming methods add to it. All that has already brought technology into the food manufacturing space. It's not long before innovation and technology will permeate into the home chef and home cook as well. And chefs and restaurants could lead the pathway towards, I think, looking at how we make our food choices and making sure we can build towards a more sustainable future.
Well said. I think what we're trying to do, all of us, is to build a platform for patients so that they know what's good for them and give them awareness and access to world-class evidence-based information, not the infodemic. And in the US, I can tell you they're publishing all that healthcare data any restaurant you go to, right? Because there's a epidemic in obesity and in diabetes and in heart disease and other illnesses. But I would say good food is good food. And the idea is if we can make it good, tasty, healthy, and some of that goes back to our roots, but some of it leans forward into what we can avoid, like GMO you've talked about, seasonal we've talked about, some of the other things. I think it'll bring it together. I think with that, I'll close.
Absolutely.
This.
Good food and healthy food don't need to be parallel. They can come together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with that, I'll close it. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I look forward to doing some stuff together, and let's see what we can do to kind of bring together a healthy future for the planet through great food and great people. Thank you and congratulations on all your work.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.